transfer to teaching and helping and healing. So that process of realizing that I needed to come to a state in my life when I was healthy enough, I was safe enough, secure enough within myself and within my environment, that I felt like I'm capable of giving back, capable of contributing, capable of turning my internal energies into a helping, a providing energy. And that was the shift for me when I went, whatever I've gathered for myself as resources, they can be used for helping other people, for healing other people, then I almost felt that it's my duty to do that. It's a necessity. It's an inner necessity from now on, that I can produce content, or I can help and heal people. And I've taken a sidestep from content producing to develop this side of my life. And I know that at some point I will merge the two. I still haven't stepped too far away from it, because that's how that I use a narrative structure to help people realize that we are so hardwired to learn through narrative, that we've engineered a narrative for our own lives. We're living within our own stories, and because parts of those stories were not created necessarily consciously, they were subconscious patterns that were taken on from other people. Sometimes we live out stories of our own that we are not happy with. So being able to realize what you're doing to yourself, how you're crafting your own story, and then learning how to craft a completely new story and embody that story, live within that story. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm dealing
amazing.
with.
That's amazing. And yes, it's incredible how we tell ourselves stories and how we can shift that story. So tell me a little bit more about it. I'm really intrigued of like, how does it work? How do you, and also for other people to understand how that might look like when you work with somebody on a particular challenge in their lives, like how do you change those stories?
So I think I've gotten the name and the entire idea from having this absolute visceral sense of when someone says that, oh, it's just a story, that's just your story. I felt such neglect. I felt such the energy of pushing your own life away, trying to get away from it. That there's so within my life there was so much deep-seated shame and guilt around the person that I am, around the role that I'm living within my own life, around the personality that I'm embodying, that I just realized that I have to change my narrative. I have to change my own internal dialogue. And then I realized that I had very similar vocabulary to the film vocabulary. So I started looking at the similarities between a story structure and how we create our own personality. So I realized that if you put yourself into a position of a character within your own life, to be able to have a little separation and not be so immersed within your own self, within your own story, but be able to look at yourself as the creator of your own story, that gives you the ability to shift from subconscious to absolute conscious control. So what we usually do is that I listen to people's stories. First of all, I will never say that this is just a story. I'm a storyteller, so I honor and respect people's stories. And I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for patterns of speech and thinking, because the way we structure our language mimics the way we think. So as soon as I discover something within a person's specific speech pattern, and I'm able to guide them through that this is how they are structuring their own thinking pattern, we can identify where the person wants to change, where they want to transform, where they want to shift something. So in the beginning, we are discovering the way they are already building up their own stories, and where they are missing something, where they are lacking something, where they have contradictions, where they have self-destructing, self-sabotaging patterns. And then we do some very deep meditation with the sexual energy, and researching more about the sexual energy. I realized that techniques that I was naturally doing are very similar to very ancient tantric techniques. So I mix a little bit of Japanese, Chinese, Indian, and Egyptian tantra. Wow. And some very modern neuroscience. The work of Joe Dispenza is very close to the work that I'm doing. His meditative techniques are very close to the meditative techniques that I'm teaching. So once we discover what we want to change within your life, we use meditation to be able to shift and change energy within you. And as soon as you learn how a new life, a new self would feel like, you establish a relationship with that new self. You establish a relationship with your own future instead of your past. What we're doing when we're living within our own stories is that we are habitually recreating the stories of the past. And we forgot how to create consciously a future self. So our subconscious mind takes over by just replaying the exact same story. So through meditation, through emotional work, through belief work, we are changing patterns, emotional patterns, and we're learning how I'm using we, but because we're doing it together. We're doing it together. We're learning how to embody that new personality so that you're living into your future instead of away from your past. And it's a practice, but it is absolutely worth. I mean, if when we say that our language creates, and our thoughts and beliefs have the power of attracting the future that you want into your life, if you were to consciously believe 1,000,000% that that's the truth, that you are creating your life, you would not miss a day of your daily practice of meditation, of taking care of yourself, of consciously creating yourself. So probably there is a mismatch. There is a broken relationship between your own mind and body, where your mind does not fully believe that what you are creating is coming from within you, that you are in charge of your own body, of your own mind, of your own reality. So first of all, we are usually restoring that relationship.
That's amazing. So you're really, you're working with the inner memories and us reliving those inner memories constantly, and becoming aware of that, and really honing that energy and that consciousness that we have to be able to choose our past. That's amazing. And and I remember when we chatted the other day about doing this interview, I was like, wow, it's incredible to see you now. So when we were, and there's nothing wrong with before, but it's just a difference, and amazing path that you've done since. And so for people, that might be in a similar situation, actually, just if you don't mind, perhaps explaining a little bit how that situation was for you back then, so people can relate to what shifts you've actually done.
First of all, I've had very emotionally violent relationships. I had a very disruptive pattern that I learned from my own parents. So I took that on to into my relationships. And I realized that I'm just not happy. I was stuck in a 5-year relationship when we were just having a horrible time with each other. And I think that's when I realized that it's not worth for me. So I started to look for what is the purpose, what is the meaning of my life, of my existence. Depression still finds me, still to this day. And I've learned how to build a relationship with the sides of me that are either very shy, very introverted, very things that the patterns of the past that as a child I did not know how to manage. Now I've learned how to build a relationship with those sides. So it's not that I'm not reacting to anything. It's not that nothing gets to me. It's not that I'm never getting sad or I'm never getting upset. It's the ability to reduce the amount of time that I'm spending within those dense, heavy energies, and be able to shift and be able to flexibly move out of those states. So I've had a period of my life when that 5-year relationship ended, when I was very rigidly against having a new relationship, or even I had a completely shaken confidence of me being able to connect with people. So depression found me again in very deep, heavy, dense periods of my life when I was very seriously questioning the point of existence and the point of my existence. And I realized that if I'm able to have such high, such happy, such incredibly grateful and fulfilled states, and so low, so dense, so heavy states, there must be a bridge. There must be an ability to flexibly move between those states. So while previously I've spent years within those depressed states, so that an emotion becomes a mood becomes a habit becomes a personality trait. And once depression became a personality trait, I've started to look at my entire life looking for the confirmation that, oh, I have all the right to be depressed. I have all the reason to be depressed. And then I had these shiny, glittering moments of delight and joy and happiness, gratitude. And I realized that I want to have more of those. So I started looking for ways how to anchor more of that. And then, obviously, my subconscious mind body started to very aggressively rebel against that change, because it's gotten into the habit of certain chemicals in my brain. It's gotten into the habit of certain behaviors, and every change cycle, every transformation for the subconscious, it registers as a threat because it's something uncomfortable. It's something that you consciously have to work for. It's something that is not necessarily the path of least resistance. So you have to put some effort and energy into shifting your state, into changing something around within yourself. And obviously, when I started that journey, my subconscious mind body started very heavily rebelling. And
yes.
And so I had ups and downs. I had my own roller coaster periods of my life. That's why this whole transformation, for me, it took a good 7 years. I was very interested in all sorts of learning, my job has always been communication, something to do with communication. I was always the middleman between very different sides. So I was fascinated with different vocabularies, personal vocabularies. So I learned how to communicate this message from the perspective of a very secular language, the language of science, the language of psychology, the language of biology, chemistry, the language of neuroscience, the language of religion, the language of NLP. I myself, I'm a very spiritual person, so my favorite language is the spiritual language.
Yeah.
But some people do not resonate with that. Completely understandable. So I've learned how to communicate the same message, I've learned how to reach the same conclusion, the same effect with people's personal vocabulary. And at the end of that journey, I realized that, okay, now I'm ready. Now it's time to get it all out there and show it to people.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, you know, to keep going, because obviously in those moments where you say of highest resistance, you know, that we're facing when we want to create change, something, you know, sometimes people stop. But what is it that didn't make you stop? And I have an idea around this, but to hear from you would be,
I realized that I had to strip everything away from my life, and I had to go back to the absolute innocence of my heart. The collective consciousness that we're currently still having in the world is a very masculine consciousness. And I'm not saying it in a bad sense. I'm just saying it in the sense that the masculine principle, the masculine energy, is the energy of separation, of boundaries, of ego in a good sense, ego in a sense of personality. The soul has a very masculine energy to it, while the feminine energy is about unity, it's about connection, it's about collaboration. So I myself had a very masculine job when for the whole day I was very decisive, very directional, very I was very goal oriented, very focused, and shifting from that directional thinking to an omnidirectional thinking, going back to the innocence of my own heart. That required for me to do some very serious feminine integration. So I needed to embody more feminine energies in my life that I had in the back of my mind. I had the idea of the person that I wanted to be. I just didn't know how. And that's the difference between masculine and feminine energies, that the masculine knows exactly what to do. It just doesn't know how. The feminine energy doesn't care much about what to do, but knows exactly how to do it once there is something in front of it. So I needed to embody more of the how and let go of the what. I needed to let go of the goals. I needed to let go of achievements, of plans, and just integrate and embody more of the energy of kindness, gratitude, compassion within myself, with my own self. The feminine integration is always starting with forgiveness. So I needed to give up my own right to punish myself and forgive, being able to forgive myself and people in my life. Then needed to integrate some love into my life. So I have this beautiful love practice. I've learned it from a spiritual teacher named Matt Kahn. If you're familiar with the work of Matt Kahn, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, he's definitely worth checking out, because he genuinely saved my life on many levels. And then from forgiveness to love, then take it to gratitude. So I started having the feelings of gratitude for my own depression, for my own eating disorder, which is an incredibly mind-boggling state, because when you start having the visceral feeling of gratitude for things that are usually not getting any attention or not getting any love, those parts of you that are just asking for love, that are just begging for love and keep coming back, those patterns that you feel incapable of breaking out of, they are resurfacing because they have never been loved, because they've
Mm.
never been taken care of. That's the sole purpose of them coming back, for those parts of your consciousness to be whole and complete again, to be integrated again. So
Mm.
that's what I did with myself.
Yes.
That's being able to be so kind and so sensitive with myself, to be my own spirit guide, be my own mother and father figure.
Yeah.
Because if you've had the upbringing, if you've had the parent figures that you wanted for yourself, I'm incredibly happy for you. But I'm pretty sure that most of us did not have the parent figures that we wanted to have, we wish to have. So you need to learn to become your own parent figures without the resentment towards the people that raised you or did not raise you.
Yeah.
And I needed to do that for myself. And still to this day, sometimes I feel lost. Sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I don't want to do my daily meditation. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed.
Mm.
Then I need to bring in my own inner mother instead of the father. So my inner father would just say, just get on with it. We have way too much of that going around. We need to also learn how to become our own inner mother, who knows how to encourage with accepting the totality that you already are.
Yeah, it's becoming more kind to yourself, and
Yeah.
people tend to, and what you've mentioned as well, people tend to suppress certain things, certain parts of them, and don't want to look there and sweep it under the carpet, and don't give that love to those parts of themselves that only need a bit of attention, or like not a bit of, you know, conscious awareness about them, and giving them love so that they can, you know, be okay. And so yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Doing right now.
They've found it with people who are dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that trauma resurfaces in the presence of relative love and safety. So what your conscious mind does when it senses threat, it consciously pulls a boundary around that part of yourself. And in a quantum sense, when you're stepping outside the boundaries of space and time, that personality who's experiencing that threat, that gets stuck within that traumatic situation. And your conscious mind, because it's way too overwhelmed chemically, biochemically, and electrically, way too overwhelmed, that conscious mind sends that part of your consciousness down to the subconscious, so that you can deal with it later, so that your immediate survival is not in threat. And when the danger is gone, when you're in the environment of relative peace, relative safety, relative love, then those patterns are resurfacing from your subconscious. That's when you're getting triggered. That's when you're on the edge. That's when you feel like that you're getting overwhelmed again. And because you do not want to get overwhelmed, you just keep pushing it back down into your subconscious. Instead of that, when you turn your conscious awareness towards your parts, towards those parts that are still getting triggered, those parts that are still afraid, that are still feeling danger, the parts that make your body tense up. As soon as there is some muscle tension in your body, it signals to your mind that you are in danger. So by learning to relax while you're recalling those, not memories, but they are states of mind, they are states of being. Because your memory, the more you're retelling a story, the more you're reliving a story, the less accurate it is, the less detailed it is, because you're just shaping it and forming it so that you're amplifying the parts that you're afraid of because you're looking for danger, and you're defocusing on the parts that are just neutral, or that can help you through it, or that can guide you through that process and out of those emotional states. So you get stuck in an infinite loop, an infinite replay of the worst case scenario. And you never dare to look directly at it and see it for exactly what it is. See yourself for exactly who you are.
Yeah.
So having the ability to face all parts of you, all sides of you, and it's somehow the equivalent of having the radiance of sunshine, that you are not afraid of the shady parts, of the shadowy sides of yourself, because you are the sun, because you are radiating light. So you have the ability to get to those shady, shadowy parts and penetrate light through them instead of having to be afraid of the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a beautiful way of describing it. I love your creativity, and you've got your creative words and way of yourself explaining it, quite spiritual. I do love that. I resonate with that a lot. And that brings me just to a question about, creativity and like how what do you feel? So if you were to share with the people watching, and if they feel stuck within within any area of their lives, or even maybe within their creativity, because sometimes admitting to themselves that they are creative, that in itself brings up lots of limiting beliefs, because it's almost like you're faced with yourself, and sometimes that's been shut off and not expressed. And therefore with your expertise and like your views on this, I'm just curious, so what do you feel, how they can unlock their creativity, and what happens if they don't?
So the very core of all my teaching is that every single issue is a relationship issue. On a subatomic level, on a quantum level, we are made up of pure, infinitely complex energy. You're just pure potential waiting to be collapsed into reality. And as soon as two different energy patterns, frequency patterns come together and communicate, as soon as there is communication, there is a relationship. So you have a relationship with separate pockets of your consciousness, separate parts of yourself. So in a sense, I am a relationship coach, but the relationship that I'm teaching is going way beyond the intimate relationship. I'm looking at your relationship with all sides of yourself, with the totality of yourself. And the connection is absolutely your heart. It's your heart center. It's feeling. So the emotional state, your ability to master your own emotional state, is your gateway to be able to manifest the life that you want. Is your method, your way to be able to bring a future sense of self closer and closer to your present sense of self. Once you're able to embody who you want to become, your subconscious mind knows absolutely no difference between something that you're something that you're experiencing right now and something that is waiting for you in the future. Because as soon as your body feels it, it's the same thing as dreaming, that in a dream state, you are not capable of differentiating whether you're awake or asleep. You're lying in bed and you're seeing, hearing, sensing, feeling, tasting, touching in full sensory experience. When you're able to get to those states, deep meditative states, within your conscious awareness, within your everyday conscious awareness, and I'm not just saying being able to lie down, but having the ability to, through guided meditation, through sitting meditation, through walking meditation, to then bring it to your everyday awareness, so that you almost able to live and exist in a meditative mindset for most of your day, then your from the beta and high beta brainwaves of alertness, you start shifting to the brainwaves of alpha, relaxation, which means that you're less reactive, you're less reactive and more responsive. So you're able to have a conscious response instead of an unconscious reaction. For that, you have to build a bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and that goes through your heart center.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, so I'm since we're coming to an end, I'm just curious, so what do your clients, so your relationship coach, how do they find you? What do they come sort of, so that people can sort of know, oh yeah, Alex would be my coach because she deals with this. How would you describe that, what people come to, with what challenges particularly they've come to you?
My personal favorite, just because of the personality that I am, is the sexual side of what I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm a theta healer, which means that I work with the theta brainwave to shift states of mind, shift belief systems, shift emotional states. And I'm an abundance guide. So I'm dealing with the issues of what I call the tricky trinity: sex, money, and power. Because our relationships to these three areas of our lives are the absolute most crucial to feel like a productive human being within the society that we've built for ourselves right now. So it usually starts with people very shyly just talking about it, that I have relationship issues, and then I'm like, all right, I'm a mindful sexuality coach, bring it on. And that's how people ease into it. But I genuinely deal with issues of sex, money, and power. So if you have an intimacy issue, if you have a relationship issue, if you are in a relationship where you're not happy, where you're not fulfilled, or if you're not in a relationship but if you wish to be in a relationship. I've had clients who were in their late 40s who have never had a relationship before, and they found me that nothing ever worked, and now he's in a very happy relationship. So, the issues of power, the issues of willpower, self-confidence, having the self-worth, the value within your own life, and the issues of abundance, again, value, self-worth, where you're not feeling like you belong, you're not feeling like you can contribute, you're not feeling like the work that you're doing is worthy, or you can charge what you wish to charge for your work. All those issues are very much interlinked, very much interconnected. So we find it quite often that people come to me with one issue, and then we start digging deep, and we find similarities with many areas of their lives. So basically, I teach people how to have loving, caring, nurturing relationships. And once you learn the technique, once you learn the structure, how to build a relationship, you can apply that same structure to every single area of your life.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm sure lots of people now watching this or later on replay, they'll connect with that and know where to go, because I've put underneath masterofstory.net and the Facebook page as well, and the Instagram. And I want to thank you for coming live and have this interview, Alex. And so any sort of like last sort of words or I guess advice or tips you have for people watching that you just feel that's coming from your heart right now, wherever you feel?
For me, I think the reason why it took 7 years to change is because I did not want to admit to it how much I'm suffering. I felt very deep down inside that something is not okay, but I did not have the tools. And I thought that I have to solve everything on my own. I thought that I have to figure it out. I just have to get over with it and be better, be more brave, be stronger. And I did not know how to ask for help. I did not know who to ask for help. And even within a relationship, we try to solve it within the relationship. We try to coach each other. We try to be each other's healers, each other's guides, and it did not work out well. So what I would suggest is, if you feel like that there is something wrong in your life, if you feel like that you want to change something, if you feel like that you're ready for a transformation, because it is not going to be an easy journey. It is very, very simple, but by all means, it is not easy. That's why you need someone else outside of you, because you've gotten yourself into this situation throughout all your years. And now it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, a little bit of energy to shift into a complete new you, into a complete different state. And it's not easy to do it all by yourself. So that's why there is help, and there is so much help out there. So if you feel like that anything in this resonated with you, I encourage you to reach out. And I encourage you to be absolutely radically honest with yourself. If you don't know how, there are other people who can help you with the how. But if you know what you want to change, then please do reach out, because there's a way to get there. There's a way to be the new you.
Beautiful. Such wise words to finish it. That's so I love it. You said that really, really, really amazing. And yes, thank you so much for doing this. And also everyone who resonated with this, do like and share, give a heart or something if you like it, and have comment underneath if you have any questions. I will forward them if I have to. If you don't know how to connect directly, but you've got the links here. And
yes, please.
Yes,
that's what I do on Instagram. If you have any questions, ping it over on Instagram, and I have a whole video session on it where I just keep answering questions.
Amazing. Fantastic. Well, there you go. So yeah, everyone, I wish you a wonderful day, and yes, thank you. You too. Enjoy the sun and Christmas and New Year.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.